Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video, we are going to continue our look at painting the ADEPTA Sororitas from Mcfarlane Toys in their Warhammer Weave 2 miniature figure line. In this video, we're going to work on the backpack. Now, we had already laid out the silver base coat, and so we're going to continue on by using some gold leaf X12. We're going to use some iso alcohol to clean our brushes and such. We're going to use our little synthetic here, a little detail brush to help us apply the paint. And I'm just going to remove that little clip there that was holding the bit in place. I didn't really feel it was necessary to hang on to it as I was getting a much more secure grip, just simply using my hand. And with the Tamiya paints, basically when they dry, they are like solid, as these are solvent-based type of acrylics. They're alcohol-based, and in my experience, they tend to cure a little harder than water-based acrylics, where there's more of a latexy kind of finish to them. Once I've got the gold laid out on those little, those little halo spiky things, we're going to continue on and base coat the little plate here. I don't know what this plate is. It's some sort of plate of some sort. I have no idea. It's a little doodad. Also these little grills and such. And basically we're just going around and, kind of just slapping some of this gold wherever it needs to be. I'm just kind of winging it it's been a very long time since I've actually painted a Sister of Battle. I have really kind of lost touch as far as like what these little doodads and things are supposed to represent, if anything at all. I have no idea. So I'm just kind of winging it. Putting paint wherever I think it should be, kind of thing. And I see these little rivets and with this gold ring, so I thought, just to break up that whole silver area. I also considered doing the little kind of like little couplings that kind of come up behind that little panel with the other little doodads on it. I don't know what they are, but either way. So after a smooth base coat has been applied, I think I only applied mostly one layer of the gold onto most of these areas. Next, we're going to move over to Flat Red XF7 from Tamiya. This is a really fun little red color. And basically, I'm going to paint in this panel where the fleur-de-lis sits. And as I applied, I realized that I probably should have put a backing down first, as a lot of the silver, just the way the light plays through the paint of the red, it makes it very, very dark and very, very splotchy, very, very noticeable that it is not a smooth finish. And so I'm going to have to apply more than one layer down, but that's fine. And no thinner is necessary. I just simply slap it onto the surface, and of course 3 layers later we have a nice solid red. Whereas I could have laid down white first, or even a darker red, or even a dark brown or something like that, just to build on top of. Light gray XF66 is next. This is going to be the base coat for the fleur-de-lis. This is to emulate further elements of what we've done around elsewhere on the figure itself. And of course, as you might imagine, when we get to other details, you're going to see a very similar process play out when we get to those details. Bit of a spoiler there for you all. Again, once you're kind of like, into the figure and laid out, all the metallics all over the place, and, we worked out a general color scheme, it is really not much of a stretch to kind of work out, how the rest of the model is going to look. There it is. That's actually applied a second coat and cleaned up the edges and everything like that. So next, we're going to use Rawumber Hue from Golden. This is from their transparency line. I'm going to use some Liquitex Flow Aid. So I'm going to put 2 drops onto my palette and add a drop. Let's add a second drop, just because. Doesn't really make much of a difference. And of course, this is just to make the paint flow like a shade wash. It'll creep into the recesses and sit in details, and move away from the overall flatter areas of the surface, and it'll want to creep into all sorts of areas. It just changes the surface tension of the paint, really, is all it's doing. And basically with the Rawumber Hue, it looks a bit like Egg-Raxor shade, essentially, which is probably really what Egg-Raxor shade really is. It's just a Rawumber Hue, and with this medium added to it to increase its surface tension, or decrease. Increase or decrease? Either way, maybe increase. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm just simply moving around and basically allowing this, and I'm applying this fairly generously. I'm also allowing this to create a bit of black lining, as it were, around the details, help create separation, just so that, you know, like for example, you see the banding on the upper portion of the backpack right here. You know, I want to create a little bit more shadow, a little bit more definition there, so I allow the Rawumber Hue to fall within the recesses while changing the overall value of the gold. And basically this is just kind of giving you your shadows and your highlights, and of course creating some outlining as well on the details. Again, I'm not pushing the colors or the transitions too far on surfaces, as it really does not look right on larger figures like this. It's better to use more bolder colors or flatter colors, or, you know, just because of all the surface really you're looking at, and allow the actual ambient light to create all those interesting looks on the surface. I'm going to take a generous amount of water here and mix that into the remainder of the Rawumber Hue. And you'll see here I'm just working my way around the red, helping create some separation. And I basically will apply this 2 or 3 times, I do believe, kind of like sparingly. And initially I was kind of outlining around the whole perimeter of the area, and then I wasn't really 100% behind that. Then I changed my mind again, and I was kind of more behind it again. More behind? That doesn't make sense. But here's about a second layer, and you can see it starts to get a little glossy. That's just the way the Rawumber Hue finishes. It has a bit of a gloss to it because it's transparency, and it works really well, you know, in that regard. And of course here I'm just kind of deliberately applying deeper and deeper color, and I'm kind of just stippling it on to create a bit of a irregular pattern on the surface, just so it doesn't dry too uniform. I'm not really worried about like brush strokes or anything like that, and I'm just simply looking to create a slight texture and create some color variation in that surface, so that, again, you know, when we're looking at this, and of course once this figure is finished, I do plan on taking some pretty pictures with it, and, you know, possibly putting it into, you know, mock scenarios and scenery, and, you know, all these kind of fun things we do with our action figures. And that is really my goal. That's really what I'm painting this for. I'm not painting this for a competition or display type standard. It's not going to sit on my shelf in one singular pose, you know, till the cows come home, as it were. Once that layer's dry, you can see, again, it's becoming really, really glossy now, and it's like, oh, kind of a pain, but don't worry, we can take care of that. Flat white is next, XF2 from Tamiya, and just a quick shake, and of course we're going to lay in some white onto the surface. Now you see this laying down, and it looks really, really striking and bold, and it's covering in one go, and for the most part it does. But where I feather the paint out, just where I'm using the remainder in the brush to kind of just draw it and fill it in spit shapes, it does stretch out a bit, and it does turn a little bit more, you know, you can see the gray popping through and such, and, you know, it's not a huge problem. So basically what I'll do is I'll add another layer, and of course I will intensify the white in key areas to build a really, really bright point and still retain some of those in-between values. Now here you can see, like on the top of the fleur-de-lis, I only painted in 1/2 of the symbol itself, and that's because I'm just kind of going for, you know, highlight shadows and, you know, just a bit of a stylized type of approach to it. It's not really, you know, necessary. We could also use the airbrush. I'm going to use some Vallejo matte varnish. Slap a little bit onto my palette, and this is just to knock the shine out of the red. I could also throw it onto the fleur-de-lis as the fleur-de-lis, but the fleur-de-lis doesn't really finish with a gloss, as the paint itself is a matte anyway. So this is just to knock down that Rawumber Hue layers that we had applied earlier. And of course, once we were happy with that, we set it aside, allow it to dry, and you can see it's knocked out all the shine. We could throw another layer down, but it's not necessary. And that is it for the backpack. It's pretty straightforward. I think we're going to continue on with the helmet, or maybe the torso next. I don't know. Kind of just winging this as we go. Big thank you to my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below. There are varying tiers of support, and a huge thank you to everybody who does. Take care of those brushes, and they will take care of you.